Okay. Another new video time. I changed my shirt so it would look like it was another day, but it's not another day. It's like 5 minutes later. I wanted to talk about cloth wipes. I know that I have talked a little bit about them in the past, but I have been using cloth wipes now for like a year. And I have learned some things about them that I thought I would share. And if I'm really efficient, I will show you how to make one. So the first things first, I thought the idea of cloth wipes was great because I like not having to use toilet paper. I like not having to buy toilet paper. I like not having to flush toilet paper. I hate toilet paper. I hate that it gets stuck to you. I hate that it's gross. I hate that the cats steal it and drag it all over the house. And it's all in all just a dumb thing. So when I learned about cloth wipes, obviously I think, well, maybe it's not obvious. So I think that a lot of people get into cloth wipes and like cloth reusable washable household products after babies, using the cloth on first during diapering and changing and using wipes and stuff like that. I don't have any babies, so I don't know about all that, but I do know about my butt and the things that it likes, and it much prefers cloth to toilet paper. The first wipes that I have purchased, are these guys. They are, how big are they? They're about 7 inches square. I bought these, sorry, this one is stained. Sorry. We're gonna have to deal with it. I bought these from an Etsy shop called Shoe City Mama. Shoe City Mama? I'm pretty sure that's correct. Anyways, I bought like a variety pack that came with a whole bunch of different prints, and I love them. They're great. I like the serged edges because they stay nice and flat. This is not how they come out of the dryer. They come out of the dryer like crumpled into a ball. So just, you can iron them if you're crazy, but I usually just kind of just dump them in a basket in the bathroom, and then I have a mesh laundry bag that they go in when they're dirty, and then when I get a bunch in there, I throw it in the washing machine. Actually, let me just go get that, because I think it's in the dryer right now. I think it's in the dryer right now. I was right. Here are clean ones too. So I wash them in this mesh laundry bag that I made. You guys have probably seen this before. I hang it with this snap over the towel bar in the bathroom and just leave it open. And every time I use a wipe, I just toss it in here and I wash them whenever I feel like it's time. So they come out of the dryer kind of like in a mess, and I sort of just dump them in a basket in the bathroom, like I said. So yeah, the serged ones were my first. They are great. They're not expensive, but I knew that I could make them myself. I don't have a serger, so I turn and top stitch all of my homemade wipes, and they look like this. So the ones I made are just slightly bigger than the ones that I bought. Not much, but slightly. And they are turned and top stitched instead of serged because it just worked out better. I do have one of the like edge, no fray edge seam stitches on my machine, and I tried that with about 5 or 6 wipes, and they just really didn't hold up. So I thought, because these are the kinds of things that I'm not going to wash these all by hand like I do with my pads. I'm not going to care for them like with attention like I do with the pads that I love. I'm just going to throw them in the washing machine because they have poop on them. So I knew that I needed something that was going to hold up a little bit better than like the no fray stitch mess on my machine. So since I didn't have a serger, I decided to turn and top stitch all of my pads. I'm sorry, wipes, and it's awesome. They're awesome. You can make them out of whatever you want. I have found that flannel is sort of my favorite. You can certainly make cotton, regular quilters cotton wipes, but your stuff is just going to soak right through them onto your hand, and then it's going to be gross. I have never gotten wet or yucky with the 2 layers of flannel, which is what all of these have, 2 layers of flannel. The other combination that I have tried is, because I saw somebody selling them and I was like, oh, that's so smart, I will make them. Minky and flannel. So Minky is great because it doesn't really, it's pretty stain resistant. It doesn't get, like, stuff just doesn't kind of stick to it and get gross and icky. It doesn't stain. It's easy to clean. You can't really iron it, which, like, if you're ironing your wipes, like, kudos to you. You are a bigger woman than I am. But if you're ironing it, it's going to be a little more sensitive to the heat. But the nice thing is, especially when you're on your period, this isn't going to get the blood stains that flannel can get. And I backed them with flannel thinking, like, oh, you can, like, wipe with this. It's not really absorbent, but it's going to get off, like, the material. Then you can wipe again with the flannel side, and it's going to be, like, nice and dry and happy. The bummer about Minky / flannel is that the flannel is going to continue to shrink. So you can... It's constant bullshit here. Move. It's just her world, and we're just living in it. So you can kind of see on these flannel Minky ones how the Minky, of course, hasn't shrunk because it's not a natural fiber, and the flannel has shrunk over time, and it kind of curls in. You'll be able to see it even better if I have one that's in my dryer package. My dryer package. Okay, I don't have one. Okay, yes I do. So this is one from the dryer. It's really, this one's not quite as bad as the other one, but you can see how like it kind of puckers around the seam, and there's just, it's just not flat. Like if I line the fabric up, that doesn't make sense, but if I kind of like move all of the excess Minky down to the bottom, like there's like all this extra this extra fabric there, and then this has, you know, kind of shrunk over time, and this hasn't. So you end up with like a wipe that's not even. So I sort of gave up on those because I just don't love them. But I will say the Minky is great for removing makeup. So if you want to do facial cloths, it would be good for that. Like this is like a makeup cloth for me in my life now. And it removes makeup really well, but still you're going to deal with like the half shrinkage issue. You could probably do like Minky, flannel Minky, but at that point, like you're going overboard. So anyways, my favorite and preference is my turned and top stitched square 2 layers of flannel wipes. They're super easy to make. You just have to be able to sew in a straight line, basically. I like to curve the edges because I think it's easier than trying to have corners and trying to make the corners the same and like blah, blah, blah. This is a lot more forgiving of a shape. The rounded corners has just been really easy. It's super easy to sew, and it's super easy to, like, it kind of looks nicer than the squared edges because they're just a lot less forgiving. So, how do I make them, you ask? Oh, why it's so easy. So I have a little pattern. It's made out of, like, scrapbook paper, and all I did was, like, trace around something approximately square and then round off the edges to create the pattern. This one ends up with a pad, with a, wipe that's about 8 by 8-ish, but it's probably more like 8.5. And yeah, so I just lay out my flannel, I fold it over so I have 2 layers, and trace around my pattern and cut out 2 at a time. And I like to have a nice big fat tab so that I don't have to worry about not having enough space when I turn it. or, you know, not catching the edges and all of that mess that can happen when you're turning stuff that has edges. So then once you cut them out, I just leave them in their little pairs because they're already right sides together. You fold it over with the right sides together and you already have everything all paired up. So then I stitch starting at the edge of the tab all the way around the whole thing like this to the other edge of the tab. And then I turn it inside out. Then I hunt for a stick with which to poke the edges out. So this is the same thing as really anything that you have to turn and top stitch. It's just nice because it's small and square-ish. And you don't have to work too hard to get things lined up. And it's, you know, a rag for wiping your butt. So if it's not perfect, it's not really that big of a deal. So once it's all turned inside out and you can just tuck the little tabs in, if you're sort of more neurotic than me, then you could cut off some of all of that extra tab. And then you press it. And then you sew the exact same line a second time. So the nice thing about, am I still in frame? Oh, hey, I'm still in frame-ish. So definitely press it. It seems like not a super important step, and it's really not. I mean, it's not like you're not going to be able to do it without ironing. But it does help you keep everything sort of together, and you don't need pins if you iron it because everything's now like touching and happy. And I just use a straight stitch right around the edge. Because why bother with anything fancy? When, I don't know, maybe like a 1/4 inch in or so. Ooh. Hopefully not trying to kill your machine. Yeah, I know, you did. You can just take it easy with the sass there, buddy. I hear you not liking something. Anyways, then you find out what you did to your machine to make it upset. You apologize that you hurt its feelings. I can tell you what we did. We didn't thread it correctly. That's what was making it so mad. So then you thread your machine correctly. This day, I'm telling you. I thought I was being so productive, so efficient. We were just going to whip up one little wipe and that was going to be the end of it. Nope. Then you have to take out all the stitches that you just messed up because you didn't thread your machine right. Back in business. So just a 1/4 inch in from the edge. I wonder if I can show you. Boop. Mm-hmm. All the way around. And still, again, this is not like anything fancy. Hopefully you managed to realize that you could just fast forward through all that mess. And you have, once you trim your threads, a new wipe. Ba-bow. And this, this will just get added to my stash, go in my bathroom. When I use them, I usually fold them in quarters like this. And boop, boop, boop. But I also have to say, like, I love these all over the house. They're also my like multi-purpose, just like, oh, I need to wipe something up. Well, I have a million wipes right here. I don't actually have a million. I think I have about 30, which is enough for me to use without discretion. Like, I don't ever use toilet paper anymore. I only use these now. And I have, I usually wash about once a week, and I never have none, if that makes sense. Like, I wash about half of them once a week, so I always have some in the bathroom. But yeah, those are wipes. This is what they look like. This was a really lame, weird video that I did not think through enough, but super easy to make. And if you are concerned about the sewing part of it, if you're not confident putting them together, you can use just squares of flannel. I did that for a while. They fray around the edges and they look ugly and it's not the nicest, but it's not any more or less effective. So if you're kind of on the fence about whether you want to use them or how uncomfortable it might be for you or whatever, if you think it's gross, etc., just cut yourself out some squares of flannel and give it a try for a couple of weeks, because it's going to give you a reasonable idea of the washing frequency and all of that kind of stuff. So hopefully this was watchable. I was going to go with informative, but I'm not sure I made it all the way to informative. So thank you for watching, and I will see you very soon. Bye.